Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So if you have this version of the Quran, I'm on page 49, all the way at the bottom of page 49 on verse number 94. And again, if you remember, we have been discussing some of the rules of the fighting. Remember, this happened immediately after the Uhud battle, which was very critical because Muslims lost a lot of people. There were a lot of hypocrites. They were exposed. So it's a continuation of the same discussion because some issues still were outstanding, and Allah is trying to resolve those issues. And she said, well, how do you resolve those issues? Because this is the guideline Allah is providing. So in this verse number 94, it says, O believers, when you struggle in the cause of God, what's the word for struggle in Arabic? Jihad. Jihad is a struggle, strife. Be sure of who you fight. God is saying, be careful whom you're fighting. And do not say to those who offer you greetings of peace. They say, Assalamu alaikum. If they say Assalamu alaikum, this is the password for Muslims. When somebody says Assalamu alaikum, it means you are safe. You are in protection. This is how we say greetings. By the way, Jews exactly say the same thing. Shalom alaikum. It's the same exact thing. Shalom. It's a salam. So it's a slightly different variant of that one. It's exactly the same thing. And Jesus was, peace be upon him, he was a Jew. So he probably said exactly the same thing to his mother, Mary, peace be upon her, and all the people around them as well. So if those who offer you greetings of peace, don't tell them you're no believer. Because there was a suspicion, these people during the war, after the war, before the war, trying to kill you. And suddenly if they say Assalamu alaikum, you still fight and kill them because you're suspicious about them. You're not sure they're Muslim or not. So this was a confusion. So seeking a fleeting worldly gain, because if you kill them, you get their horse, you get their camel, you get their possession, and it's a booty of the war. So God is saying, be careful, don't do that. Instead, God has infinite bounties in store. You were initially like them. You were non-Muslim. Every single person in Medina and Makkah, they were converts. They were pagans. They became Muslims. So Allah is reminding them, you were just like them some time ago. And then God blessed you with Islam. So be sure, indeed, God is all aware of what you're saying. So when these incidents happened, the Prophet, peace be upon him, scolded Muslims. He was furious that if somebody says peace, somebody says Assalamu alaikum, don't fight and kill them. Don't have the suspicion that they are not true Muslims. Because the Arabs of that time, they looked exactly like them. They dressed exactly like them. They spoke the same language. And suddenly they're fighting and the person says, Assalamu alaikum, or I'm Muslim, I believe in God. Don't kill them. And I shared a story last week as well about the same incident. So although the Prophet would severely admonish them, the offenders of such occasion, but there was a recurrence of these incidents. Then Allah saw this difficulty in this particular verse. If somebody says peace, don't fight, don't argue. In fact, I recommend you, you're going to have heavy debates with your family. Alex was just talking to me about it. You're going to have difficulty with your family. And you simply say peace, salam, walk away. In their language. Don't fight, don't argue. You cannot solve anything by proving your mom wrong or proving anybody wrong. There's nothing you can solve. Be peaceful with them. The relationships are more important than showing them they're wrong. You don't need to prove anybody wrong. So that's what this particular ayah, you have no right to judge anyone who is declaring himself or herself to be a Muslim, is telling a lie merely to save his life, even if that person is trying to save his or her life. Don't kill them. It is equally possible they might be telling the truth. They might change their mind. It did happen that one of the companions in the Uhud, he had right on top of this other non-Muslim, he was about to kill him. And he said, I believe in Allah and I believe in God, Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he still killed him. And Prophet found out after the war, he was very upset. He said, he was trying to save his life. That's why I killed him. He said, did you see his heart? Nobody can see your heart. So what's in your heart? It's only between you and Allah. Your husband doesn't know. Your parents do not know. My wife doesn't know what's in my heart. Although we can share our feelings, but still, you just need to respect. So this is one of the criteria we use, and God actually has clarified this particular confusion for the Muslims. In verse number 95, those believers who say stay at home, except with the valid excuses, are not equal to those who strive in the cause of God with their wealth and their lives. God has elevated in ranks those who strive with their wealth and their lives above those who stay behind with valid excuses. Again, this is in the context of the war. So a lot of people decided, I'm going to stay back. I'm not going to fight. And they had excuses. So God is telling them the ranks of the people who sacrifice themselves and sacrifice their wealth and their families, they cannot be equal to the people who stayed back. God has promised each a fine reward, but those who strive will receive a far better reward with others. Far superior ranks forgiveness and mercy from Him. God is all forgiving, most merciful. Nothing to explain here. It's a self-explanatory that a person who's working hard in a society cannot be equal to the person who watches Netflix all day. Cannot be equal. Rewards cannot be the same. This is not a social democratic Denmark system or Sweden system. The garbage collector is making the same money like a heart surgeon. Doesn't make any sense. Then why would you become a heart surgeon if you're going to make the same amount of money? There's some kind of disconnect. So if you work hard, you should be rewarded in a society. That's what this is explanation of that one. 97. Now this is very scary stuff here in 97. So pay attention to this one. When the angel sees the souls, those who have wronged themselves. These are the people who are sinners. These are the people who had a chance. What is the difference, me or somebody else? It's the same opportunity. You have the same access to the internet. Go to AI right now, go to ChatGPT and say, is Jesus is the Lord, and find out. Find out what ChatGPT is going to tell you. So you have an equal opportunity. Why do I need to put my body on the internet to make money? There are other ways to make money. Look at all these wealthy people, rich people. They did not have to do those things, and they are much more wealthier. By the time you can see the harbor in Anaheim, and you can walk on the harbor and drive on the harbor, and you can see all these ladies walking around there. They're in 40s now. When they were in 20s and 30s, they had a specific business. Now in their 40s, they're lonely, they're alone, and their bodies have been exhausted. What are you going to do for next 30 years, 40 years? So think about it. Why not finish college, have a decent job, have a different kind of lifestyle? So here, who have wronged themselves, scolding them. This is at the time when your soul is being removed from your body. And the Prophet had explained, it's like wool, and you have this comb made of iron, and this iron is being moved from the wool. It's like that feeling. Every thread of the fabric is going to tear. It's going to be so painful for the people who have wronged themselves. And the people who actually lived a life of righteousness, they will feel nothing. They will feel like a breath. So here, they will be scolding them. What do you think you were doing? Imagine. This is the question being asked at the time of your death. What the heck you were doing? I'm sorry I'm using that language. What did you do? 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, what did you do? Just collected money? Just watched Netflix or porn? What did you do? They will say, we were oppressed in the land. In this particular scenario, these are the people, remember, they were ordered to migrate to Medina. Medina is the Islamic State. All Arabia, Mecca and surrounding cities, they were all non-Muslim. And at that time, Muslims were ordered that you have to migrate to Medina. This is Islamic State now. There were some people who were sent to Ethiopia, Habasha, and they were under Najashi. Najashi was a Christian king who became Muslim, and they were in the protection of those. Those people were there at that time, but the rest of the Muslims were ordered they must return to Medina. But some people refused because of their properties, because of their positions in the tribes, because of various reasons, their family setup. So they will reply, we were oppressed in the land. The angel will respond, was God's earth not spacious enough for you to migrate or emigrate? If you cannot wear hijab in France, it is haram for you to live in France. That's what's happening in France. You cannot wear hijab in public institution. You cannot go to high school in wearing hijab. It's forbidden. It becomes forbidden in that stage. Here we are so thankful that our country is open-minded. We can practice a religion here. If they say you cannot pray in the masjid, you cannot have the masjid, which happened in the USSR, all the masjids were demolished and everybody was forbidden to practice their Islamic religion or even Christianity at that time. It becomes forbidden for you to live in that space anymore. That's what the angels are asking. God's earth not spacious enough for you to emigrate? It is they who will have hell as their home. You say, well, I had my business there. Well, look at it. We have fires here. These things go away in few seconds. These things are temporary. So your health, how many people I personally know? My friends, I was, last Sunday, I was in a masjid, in Corona Masjid. She was 40 years old with 3 small kids and she's gone. Just like that. In few seconds, you will be gone. These things are temporary. So we are not, as a Muslim, we are dependent on these things. So I just want to remind myself that when you embrace Islam, so you cannot give that excuse, I was helpless, I could not move, I had family ties, my wife said no. No, your religion comes first. It is they who will be in hell as their home. What an evil destination. And God protect us all from the hell. Ameen. God protect all of your families. This is a very, very evil place. Except helpless men, women, and children who cannot afford a way out. Some of the people, they could not. They were weak. They had the tribal system did not force them to do something haram, so they were okay. So migration the way of Allah was required. Now, Muslim scholars has disagreements on this one. When the Makkah was conquered in the lifetime of the Prophet around 8th or 9th Dhul Hajj, which is a couple of years before the Prophet passed away, then the migration status stopped because now you don't have to migrate to Medina. So a lot of Muslim scholars, they say that the migration discussion which is happening here, that was only for that time. Once Muslim conquered, and within few years, the Persians had fallen and the Romans have fallen. They were defeated by Muslims. So at that time, especially, there was no more migration at the conquest of Mecca, because now Muslims are not based only in Medina, they were all over in the Arabia. So at the time of the Prophet, when he was in Medina, the migration was compulsory, but there's no more compulsory migration to Medina anymore after the conquest of Mecca. But if you want to read more about it, there are a lot of scholars back and forth. They discuss that particular issue. I'm going to move on. 99, it is right to hope that God will pardon them, for God is ever pardoning, all forgiving. It's referring to the same people who actually did not migrate or they had difficulty migrating. What's number 100? Whoever emigrates in the cause of God will find many safe havens and bountiful resources throughout the world. In fact, I migrated from Pakistan to this land. Sister Rhonda migrated. Alex migrated. His parents migrated from Vietnam. Same thing, Sister Courtney. Same thing, many of us. In fact, even if your skin color is white, you migrated maybe 150 years before us. So we are all immigrants. So immigrants migrating for better life. The people who could not practice their religion in Europe, they migrated to this land here so they can practice their religion. So migration for that cause, that purpose actually has, so it's bountiful resources throughout the earth. Those who leave their homes and die while immigrating to God and His messenger, their reward has already been secured with God, and God is all forgiving, most merciful. The entire earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no excuse that you cannot migrate to other places. Many of you have traveled extensively. I know Sister Caitlin is not here. Her influence was when she went to Jordan. She saw the beauty of Islam. I just met Sister Kimberly today. Her influence, as usual, Mufti Menk. And we have so many brothers and sisters. They're impressed. I had a brother who converted. He's not here. He found out about Islam from Mufti Menk. He said he works here now. I'm talking about Hamza or Eric. So I said, how did you find out about Islam? He said, I had no idea. I just typed Islam or something about God, and somehow Mufti Menk came. And I got addicted to Mufti Menk. For 2 years, I was addicted to Mufti Menk. And then I made up my mind. So this is how he's sitting in Zimbabwe. He's changing people's hearts. This is so beautiful. So in 101, when you travel through the land, it is permissible for you to shorten the prayer. Now, this discussion, I have several pages on this discussion. So in fact, somebody sent me a message just recently also about the same thing. I'm traveling, and when do I shorten my prayer? Especially if you fear an attack by the disbelievers. Indeed, the disbelievers are your sworn enemies. So let me spend a few minutes on this one just to give you an idea. When you travel, so Muslim schools of thought, Muslim scholars disagree. Some say, okay, it was only for the war, if only you're in a fear. A lot of this one scholars say, no. Even if you're traveling for pleasure, you're traveling to San Diego, you can shorten your prayer. And then Muslim scholars also disagree how many days you're going to live there, stay there. Muslims also scholars disagree that is it going to be some other conditions associated with it. So let me highlight a few things here. First of all, when you shorten your prayer, you can only shorten 3 prayers. The second prayer from 4 units to 2 units, which is Dhuhr prayer. The third prayer, Asr, from 4 units to 2 units. And the last prayer, the Isha, which is 4 units to 2 units. You cannot shorten the morning prayer, which is only 2 units. And you cannot shorten the 4th prayer, Maghrib, which is 3 units. You cannot shorten those. Now, question is, how do we decide we need to shorten the prayers? Again, just to make it easier, I don't need to give you the references of all these scholars, but it was allowed during the wars. Muslims were fighting, and then how do you decide that you need to shorten? Who's going to shorten the prayer? Who's going to be fighting at that time? The prayer cannot be skipped. You cannot skip a prayer. There's only one condition: you don't have to pray. Can somebody tell me in what condition you don't have to pray?
No, even if you're sick, you have to pray.
And it is only applicable to ladies.
Yes.
When you are in your period, you don't have to pray, and you don't even have to make up after that. How lucky the ladies are.
One thing that we're giving.
So during that time, you don't have to skip your prayer. For men, they cannot skip their prayer. You're walking, you're afraid, pray walking. You cannot finish your prayer because somebody attacked you. Continue your prayer after the attack. You are in a plane, pray in the plane. You are not facing the Qibla, Kaaba, pray in any direction. You cannot skip a prayer. How many prayers? 5 times a day. How much time it takes? 5 minutes each, 25 minutes in your daily routine out of 24 hours. Why? We talked about this in extensive detail. Prayer is not for God. God does not benefit from your prayer. Just like when you do good in school, you're not benefiting your parents. You're doing it for yourself, but parents are happy. Allah is happy because you're making something out of your life. So here, you can actually postpone, delay your prayer if you're in that state of fear, if you have some difficulty, but you still have to pray. At the Battle of the Trench, which is one of the battle, they made a trench around Medina, one of the major battle. So at that time, the Prophet and the companions, they had to delay 4 prayers. Otherwise, they never delayed prayers in most of the circumstances. So also I want to highlight that Imam Shafi and Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, they say the travel has to be for lawful purposes. Imam Abu Hanifa, he says that the shortening of the prayer for any kind of journey. And I'm going to give you my personal opinion at the end. So they actually disagree on that one. Imam Abu Hanifa considers reduction of the prayer, reducing the rakat from 4 to 2, is obligatory. You must do it because Prophet did it. Some of the other imams say, no, it's optional. If you can pray the full 4, when you go to Paris, land in London, you can pray 4. The Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik, they say, no, you must shorten the prayer. And I'm skipping a lot of pages, but I'm just giving you over. Imam Malik, the minimum distance should be traveled as 48 miles. And Imam Shafi also supports that idea. One of the Sahabi, Anas, he says 15 miles. Imam Abu Hanifa says 54 miles. So you can see the variations in this one. Again, I'll give you the conclusion at the end. Imam Abu Hanifa says if you travel for 15 days or less, you are in travel. Some other scholars say, well, if you are still in constant state of travel, let's say you go for a project, you go for work, and you do not know it's going to end after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you're in state of travel, you can reduce your prayer. So there's some disagreement on that one. Now, I'm going to read one of the hadiths from the Prophet, and this will clear a lot of things. And you say, well, hadith is so clear. How come the scholars differ? Because they are looking at all the life of the Prophet and the Quran. They have better understanding. But I'll give you my personal opinion and what I do it as well. So Holy Prophet ﷺ said, the concession of reduction is a bounty from Allah. It's a gift from Allah. Therefore, enjoy it. What does it mean? Allah is giving you a concession. Why would you reject it? So this is a hadith from, and this is what some of the other scholars, they took it. It is required. Now some people say, you know what, during Hajj, because I'm a Hajj leader, in Arafat is the most important time of your life. Those 6-7 hours are the most important time. If you are forgiven on that particular day, it is guaranteed you're going to paradise. Guaranteed. There's nothing else in this world guaranteeing paradise except that 6-7 hours in paradise. Even at that time, in our tent, because you're staying in a tent, there are 100,000 tents. And in a tent, people argue we are going to reduce prayers or we are not going to reduce prayers. We're going to combine prayers and not going to combine. Even people disagree on that one. That's okay. Let them pray the way they want to pray. So it is a gift from Allah. It is a well-known fact that Holy Prophet availed of this concession in every journey, both during war and during peacetime. So he did reduce his prayers, shorten his prayer during the journey of every kind. So when you're planning to travel 50 miles or more, this is my criteria, my understanding of Islam, you can reduce your prayer. Also, you can combine prayers. The second and third prayer, let's say you're going to LAX, you're flying to some place, and you're there, let's say 1 p.m. You can pray the Dhuhr prayer, the second, and you can combine the third prayer if you want. And you can combine second and third prayer. And in the plane, or when you land, let's say you land in Istanbul, you land in some other place, then you can combine the fourth and fifth prayer. Because the distance is more than 50 miles and you're traveling, doesn't matter, state of peace or state of some fear. So that's what I recommend. I'm going to skip some of these things. So, but that's what my understanding is. So when you travel 50 miles or more, when you travel for any purpose, you can shorten your prayer. You can also combine your prayers. Please let me know at the end if you still have questions on that one. But this particular verse, 101, actually made it easier for people. And when you travel, I'm going to read that. When you travel through the land, it is permissible for you to shorten the prayer. This is in the Quran. Then you will say, well, why some scholars, they say you should not shorten the prayer? This is their understanding. We still respect them and we still listen to them. Number 102, when you prophet are campaigning with them and you lead them in prayer, let one group of them pray with you while armed, while they prostrate themselves. Let the other group stand guard behind them. And this is applicable right now as well when Muslims fight in the state of war. So one group of Muslims, they pray, the other group guard them for their protection. Then the group that has not yet prayed will then join you in prayer. And let them be vigilant and armed. And let them be vigilant and armed. The disbelievers would wish to see you neglect your weapons and belongings so they could launch a sweeping assault on you. Remember, this is the time Muslims are the third year or fourth year of in Medina. They're very weak. They're very small numbers. So this is the direction God is giving it to them, how to protect themselves. But there is no blame if you lay aside your weapons when overcome by heavy rain or illness. But take precaution. Indeed, God has prepared a humiliating punishment for the disbelievers. 103, when the prayers are over, remember God, whether you're standing, sitting, or laying down. How can you remember God all the time? When you are going to bed, when you're driving. So this is what I do. When I start some activity, I start with in the name of God. So you are in the protection of God. If you die in that state, for example, you die in state of wudu, in the purification, or you started something in the name of God, God is going to take you, raise you in that exactly same state. When you die in a bad state with the bad kind of surrounding, you will be in that same state. So be cautious about that one. That's what the God mindfulness is. 103, when the prayers are over, remember God, whether you're standing, sitting, or laying down. But when you are secure, establish regular prayers. Indeed, performing prayers is a duty on the believers at the appointed time. Why so much emphasis on 5 daily prayers? So much emphasis, because this is what distinguishes you from non-believers. This is how you're going to live your daily routine, how you're going to make a choice between right and wrong when you have all these desires overtaking you. This is where you end up making those decisions, because you're not going to make a decision, okay, after the third prayer, let me have, God forbid, intimacy with my boyfriend or girlfriend, and then I'll pray the next prayer. First of all, when you have sexual intercourse, you can't even pray. You have to take a ghusl. You have to take a bath. So when you have not taken a bath, there's no prayer. So even if you have a spouse and you have a sexual intercourse with your spouse, you have to cleanse yourself physically in a bath. Also, let me throw an idea about tayammum, which we discussed 3-4 weeks ago. Tayammum is a gift when you don't have any water available to you, or when you're sick, you can't use water, which can exacerbate your sickness. Anybody knows how the tayammum was gifted to Muslims? It was gifted to the Muslims because Aisha, Prophet's wife, they were traveling in a desert. She lost her beaded necklace in the desert overnight because there were no bathrooms. They had to use the bathroom in a desert. She went to use the bathroom. She lost her beaded necklace. Now the entire army, which is going to, I think, Tabuk is close to Syrian border. They are going in that direction. The Prophet stopped the entire army, said, look for a necklace which has no value whatsoever, financial value. The entire army is looking for the necklace of the Prophet's wife. So she feels happy that her husband cares about her. Guess what? Now the time of the prayer comes up, Fajr prayer, morning prayer. There's no water. At that time, Allah revealed, you don't need water. This is one of the greatest blessings given to Muslims. You can use the dirt. This is how you do it. I showed you. And you just do this, you are done with wudu. And this is, you can do with ghusl also. You had a sexual intimacy with your spouse, you can cleanse yourself without water in that particular instance. So that's a gift given to Muslims because of the woman. Another gift is, close to Makkah, there's a masjid called Masjid Aisha. And when she performed Hajj with the Prophet, guess what? She had a period. And she could not perform the rituals like we were supposed to. Because in Tawaf, the circumambulation of the Kaaba is not permitted in period, when you are in that state. She would cry. And Prophet said, that's okay. Once your period is over, you can complete that at the end. She would cry and cry. That I am not performing the Hajj like everybody else. I have missed this opportunity. So instead of going to the Miqat, which is far away place, because when you enter the Haram area, the Makkah area, there are 5 stations. When you enter, you must enter in the state of Ihram, which is the state of sacredness. She, at that time, going over there would take you a week or 2 weeks. These days, only in a car, a few hours. And then Rasulullah, there was a place very close to Kaaba. He assigned that place. He said to Aisha's brother, Raziyallahu ta'ala anha, take your sister, and from there, you do the niyyah, do the intention, and come back, and you can perform all the rituals. Another gift to Muslims from women. Now when Muslims go, and I'm sure Sister Rhonda probably have visited Masjid Aisha. It's a beautiful masjid, very close to, on a taxi takes only 10 minutes or so, or 7-8 minutes. Very close to the Haram. I don't have to go to Jeddah, all the way to Medina, all the way to Yemen border to enter the Miqat. I can just go to Masjid Aisha and enter from that location. So just want to emphasize the value of the woman in Islam. Who's the best man in Islam? Remind me? The best men in Islam are the best to their wives. Who is the highest rank in Islam?
Prophet.
Prophet, and after that, Allah. Help me, guys. You know, some of you, mother, 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 father. So 3/4 of the rights are given to. If you have a daughter, you raise the daughter nicely. There's a special gate of paradise open only for you. You have 2 daughters, Sister Shabnam. 2 doors of paradise are open for you. Enter from any one of those. None of those for the sons or boys. So Sister Rhonda has 3, mashallah.
Yes, that's the key is 3.
So I have 1, and
God blessed.
yeah, I tell her that all you need to do is sit with me, and I can smell the Jannah. She's so amazing. Although she says, I hate you with the beard, I can't kiss you, but that's what it is. So last verse, inshallah. 104, do not falter in pursuit of enemy. If you're suffering, they are too suffering. But if you can hope to receive from God what they can never hope for, God is all knowing and all wise. So inshallah, we'll end here, and we'll